Harris, we were just mentioning all of the changes that are going on through AI and also perhaps all the opportunities that might create, and specifically for Canada. How do you see it playing out for Canada?
Well, as I said, Catherine, I see convergence in many of these trends because we're talking, digital. For Canada on the AI side, I mean, you need enormous compute for AI. And to have enormous compute, you need enormous processing power, which means you need power. And green power is good. Canada has exceptional, cheap green power. If you look at Quebec, they're one of the leaders in data warehousing and edge and HPC computing. Um, that should bode very well for us in the wafer era as we see the U.S. reshore in a very dramatic fashion its semiconductor capacity. They are pulling home to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars their semiconductor capacity and evolving new generations in Ohio and Texas. Um, they're clearly making a very aggressive play on the semiconductor side because they know the CPU is the brains of the thing. It will drive. So for Canada, there's a huge power opportunity there. We're also seeing energy transition, the whole EV electric vehicle play. Canada's just been selected by Volkswagen for its lithium-ion battery facility, which is a good accomplishment. Really, the question for Canadians, and we saw this on LNG, which is another energy transition issue that we did not do so well on. Really,
Yeah,
the question
we
comes
didn't
down
get
to
in there fast enough.
we didn't. We simply don't have the ability to build infrastructure currently in the country, given the differing objectives of various constituencies. And literally, all I'm worried about and interested in is, the wealth creation in the country for future generations. So on the
Yes.
EV side, we have, especially in a super regional polarized world where China and Russia are outside the North America super region, we're the go-to for commodities. So for Canadians, it's making the head trade that responsible societal and environmental conduct is not mutually exclusive from responsible extraction of resources. That is our
Hmm.
nation's birthright. That's how we become a G7 entity. We are the gold standard looking at Canadian companies in the space in terms of their environmental conduct. And it's incredibly important to the future wealth of Canadians. So, that is the head trade we have to make. Everybody knows the environment is, a critical issue. All I'm
Hmm.
really focused on is what's what's negotiable and what's feasible as we get to some of these new technologies like hydrogen, like modular carbon recapture, like fusion on the nuclear side. All will be very impactful, very viable, but as the British say, mind the gap. Um, we aren't there yet, and the world needs power. And the only way at
Hmm.
scale to displace the most polluting carbon element on Earth, called coal, through LNG.
Right.
And the United States
Hmm.
is leading that charge using, in many instances, our gas.
Right, absolutely, and I think we've really missed the opportunity over the past 5, 7, 10 years to be able to capitalize on that and that change, that transition to LNG and exporting LNG.
Yeah,
And to bring it back to what you said, Harris, I mean, at the end of the day, we do need wealth creation in this country to continue to have all the phenomenal services like healthcare, good healthcare, and great education. But you can't just make it out of thin air and no money. I mean, you need to be able to responsibly, use our natural resources. And to your point, that is how we became a G7. People forget that.
precisely. And I mean, look, we're a country with less population than Colombia and Poland, yet we're the second
Hmm.
largest landmass for a nation on Earth, and we happen to be blessed with a plethora of natural resources. Their responsible extraction is simply part and parcel of how this nation has created wealth for current and future generations. It's not
Hmm.
it's not a debatable point. I mean, it's simple reality. And of course, you have to recognize the importance of the environment going forward. It's critical. It's just you have to do it in a way that's feasible and that you're making infrastructure decisions based on the actual data and science, not what you'd like it to be, but what's actually feasible currently and how to move forward on that basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.